Every work of art tells a unique story. Whether it's a photograph, a painting, or a sculpture, all artists are inspired to craft beautiful images, to depict a story that can withstand the test of time, and share their emotions with many individuals across various generations. Because of this, it's interesting to take a look back into history to better understand why artists like Da Vinci, Picasso, Van Gogh, and others decided to paint beautiful images of seemingly mundane objects. Surely, there's more to some of these classic works of art than meets the eye. As it would turn out, in many cases, that is the truth. Many famous paintings that we take for granted these days may hold secrets that have remained hidden in plain sight for centuries. We've all heard of the famous Da Vinci Code, but what else may be hidden away in popular works of art? Today, we'll be taking a closer look at some of the artwork that we've come to know and love to better understand whether or not this artwork may hold secrets that have eluded us for hundreds of years. Be sure to stick around for number 5 because it will blow you away. If you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Mona Lisa. No matter who you are, chances are you've probably heard of the famous work of art known as the Mona Lisa. This is one of Da Vinci's most famous paintings, and this work of art has left researchers with many unanswered questions for hundreds of years. The oil painting was first created by Leonardo da Vinci at the beginning of the 16th century, but we don't know much else about the painting aside from this. It's been hanging in the Louvre in Paris for several decades now, and it's visited by hundreds of thousands of people every year. However, even with so many people appreciating the painting and begging to know more about it, there's still a lot that is yet to be uncovered. The most obvious question about the painting is, who is the woman in the portrait? All these years later, we have no idea who this woman may be. Some people believe that it could have been a love interest of Da Vinci. Others believe it may have been someone close to him, though some researchers have even proposed that it could be a female rendition of Da Vinci himself. The truth is, the world will never know who this woman was. However, when examining the portrait of the woman, a French researcher known as Pascal Cotte noticed something profound. Pascal was conducting in-depth research of the painting when he sent the painting through a series of tests that could help other art enthusiasts to better understand how the painting was created. When doing this, he noticed something very odd. As it would turn out, beneath the painting of Mona Lisa is another, almost identical painting. However, this painting appears to depict an entirely different woman. The technique that was used to scan the painting was designed to reveal various additional layers in some of our favorite works of art. We all know that most great painters use layers to help create very unique colors and textures for their paintings, and this was a technique that Da Vinci knew quite well. When examining the scan of the image, the researcher found that there were layers buried beneath the Mona Lisa that have been covered up in more recent years. When separating the original Mona Lisa from the one we all know and love today, you can see that the paintings are shockingly similar to one another. However, the main difference is that the more modern version of the painting seems to use different color tones and may depict an entirely different woman. However, the most interesting distinction is that the original Mona Lisa was gazing in a slightly different direction. We don't know if Da Vinci was dissatisfied with his original work of art, or if he simply thought he could improve on it. It's also possible that he began to paint one woman, then decided to paint another. Whatever his reasoning behind the painting was, we may never know. Though this revelation certainly proves that there's a lot more to some of our favorite paintings than we may ever truly know. The Blue Room. Pablo Picasso is another one of the world's most famous artists. He made a name for himself more than 100 years ago and found a few followers who loved his artwork. His painting, The Blue Room, is believed to be one of his first paintings that saw the artist breaking away from the social conventions and coming up with his own unique art style. This era of Picasso's life soon became known as the Blue Period. Picasso created this famous painting at the turn of the century. At the time, he would have been just 19 years old and was already trying to push the envelope and set himself apart from the conservative paintings that were so popular at the time. At this point in his life, Picasso was only getting started, but he'd already found one devoted follower of his art, Ambroise Vollard. We know that Ambrose was, by all means, one of Picasso's biggest fans and motivators. Because of this, it wasn't too shocking to learn that Picasso had at one point painted a portrait of Ambrose. However, it seems that Picasso later covered up the portrait and hid it behind his famous painting of the Blue Room. Researchers learned back in 2014 that buried beneath the surface layer of the image, there's a depiction of a man wearing a bow tie, resting his chin on his hand. Picasso never acknowledged who this man was, as he most likely didn't expect anyone to ever uncover his secret. Because of this, we don't know for sure who this man may be, but researchers theorize that the man is most likely Picasso's #1 supporter, Ambroise Vollard. Café Terrace at Night. We've all likely seen the famous painting of Starry Night. However, one of Van Gogh's other famous paintings became known as Café Terrace at Night. One of the things that people love most about Van Gogh's paintings is his unique use of colors. Many of his paintings show a dramatic contrast between certain colors, often utilizing yellow and blue to contrast one another to show the difference between night and day. In Café Terrace at Night, Van Gogh utilized yellows and blues to accomplish this specific goal. However, there's much more to this painting than you may initially believe. Keep in mind, everything we're about to cover is just a theory, and we don't know anything for sure. However, some researchers believe that this painting may have been created to commemorate the Last Supper. This was the memorial feast shared between Jesus of Nazareth and his followers. It's believed that the person in white who stands in the center of the painting may represent Jesus Christ. In fact, if you look behind the person in the middle, the frame of the window provides the perfect image of a cross. Those who are gathered around the person in the middle may represent his followers. To take things even further, there's a shadowy figure who's seen standing in a nearby doorway. It's very likely that this person would have represented Judas, who would soon betray Jesus. We know that Van Gogh was a Christian man who took his religion very seriously. Because of this, many researchers feel that it's safe to assume that this image has a deeper underlying meaning. However, without Van Gogh being around to share his side of the story, we'll likely never know the truth. Sadly, many of Van Gogh's paintings are shrouded in mystery. We know that his artwork was not appreciated during his years on Earth, and many of his works of art only became popular and valuable a few years after he passed away. Because of this, we have very few stories about his personal life, and certainly no explanations about his various paintings. Rembrandt's self-portraits. Rembrandt van Rijn is not a name that you hear as often as Da Vinci or Pablo Picasso. However, his works of art are just as important. Over the years, Rembrandt is known to have created more self-portraits than any other artist at the time. He lived from 1606 to 1669 and created several self-portraits over the years. For quite a long time, historians had no idea how he managed to paint images of himself in such incredible detail. It wasn't too uncommon for artists to paint themselves at this point in time. However, very few self-portraits were as detailed as Rembrandt's. Researchers continued to search for clues until 2016, when they finally determined how Rembrandt created such beautiful selfies. As it would turn out, he used nothing more than a series of mirrors and lenses. The mirrors would obviously help to show him a realistic image of himself, while the lenses would help him to capture detail. This may seem like a very obvious explanation, but this was not a technique that was being used by artists at the time. Nearly 400 years later, we finally cracked the code for one of art's great mysteries. Madame X. John Singer Sargent is by far one of the most scandalous painters to have come out of Paris in the 1800s. John started his career as a typical painter, making ends meet by painting various people or places. However, in 1884, his life would change forever after he painted the portrait of Virginie Amélie Avignon Gautreau. This lovely young woman was nearly exiled from her hometown after her portrait was shown at a local art gallery. When the image was revealed to the public, it sparked a massive amount of uproar. This was because one of the woman's dress straps was painted casually hanging down the side of her shoulder. This was seen as being highly provocative at the time and was not a look that was taken lightly. The woman was viewed as being mischievous, and everyone in the local area began to look down upon her. John's portrait was so badly viewed that he was forced to leave the Paris art market entirely. Instead, he began taking his artwork to other areas of Europe and even America. He found a lot more success here, but his reputation in Paris never fully recovered. The Prophet Zacharias. This painting was created by Michelangelo. While Michelangelo has painted many different religious works of art over the years, this is certainly one of his most unique and potentially derogatory paintings. We know that the Catholic Church at the time was being led by a pope who was disliked by many people. Pope Julius II didn't make friends with everyone, and Michelangelo certainly was not a fan. Considering Michelangelo would soon become one of the most influential painters of all time, this painting in particular was perceived as being very risky, as it's highly possible that it depicts the Pope. Many historians believe that the man who's depicted in The Prophet Zacharias bears a striking resemblance to Pope Julius II. It's believed that Michelangelo created this painting to mock the Pope, even going as far as to paint two angels behind his back, with one of the angels flashing a vulgar hand gesture. We don't know for sure if this was Michelangelo's real intention, but the painting seems to speak for itself. The creation of Adam. To continue with Michelangelo's story, we have to mention his most famous painting, The Creation of Adam. This painting comes from Michelangelo's collection of paintings that can be found at the Sistine Chapel in Rome. I'm sure we all know that Michelangelo was commissioned to paint the ceiling of this popular building with all sorts of religious works of art. One of the most famous excerpts from his ceiling painting days would have to be The Creation of Adam. The painting shows God moments after he created Adam. The two are seen reaching toward one another, with their hands nearly touching. In more recent years, this painting has been cropped and shows nothing more than the two hands nearly reaching one another. However, the full painting shows much more than that, showing God surrounded by other heavenly beings while floating in front of red cloth. Many historians in more recent years believe that this cloth was designed to look like the human brain. It's believed that Michelangelo put this here as a tongue-in-cheek reference to the church's unwillingness to acknowledge certain scientific facts or discoveries. This is purely a theory, but it would certainly make sense. The painting was created between 1508 and 1512, and science was coming a long way at this time, with various new scientific discoveries being revealed. We don't know specifically what Michelangelo may have been upset about, but if this painting and the theories of historians are to be believed, Michelangelo must have felt that it was a pretty big issue. Thanks for watching. Did we miss any of your favorite paintings? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and your suggestions may make it into a future video. But that's all for now. Be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos.